Hi, this is the center that we're talking about, and if the other speakers talked about their rags to riches experience, I'm gonna tell you my story of riches to rags. So, a different story. Let's have a look at the first video. This is our official video of what we do. That's the video that said I dared. I dared to build a center for people who are tired, for people who need refreshing, for people who are burnt out, and for people who just need to soak up nature and come and be taken care of. We're a center for hospitality. It's farm to table food. It's all organic. But like Richard said, unfortunately, at this very moment, it's under ash. But we've been seeing sprouts coming up, and it does really, it broke our heart, but now it's like very making me so alive to know that there's new life coming up. So because I dared, I was able to get out of the shackles that I had once been in. And I'll tell you my story so that you would know what I went through. Just before I start, we are a center for expressions and art as well, for people who are stuck in places and need to express themselves by saying what they're going through. Some people find it hard to express what they're going through, so we allow them to do art. We do mosaicing, we do other things, and then we have a lot of art pieces in the center by some famous artists, world-renowned artists, and this is one of them. This is in one of my centers, and this is by Imelda Andaya, and she's had her artworks in the Metropolitan Museum in New York. So I had commissioned her to do this in our center, and she talks. It's called Upheavals, and it talks about the upheavals of the earth and the upheavals in the Philippines. This was done in 2016, and that was the time of the elections. So it was a bit scary at that time. So what does the center do? What do we do? The center helps people who have to be empowered to be free, both men and women. People who come to us are generally beholden to one thing or another and have decided on their own accord that they would want someone to accompany them towards freedom. Some women come for us to help them free themselves from unhealthy relationships. Some from jobs that no longer fulfill them. Others from families that control them, parents, family systems, and clans. As you know, that's quite common here in the Philippines. We have been in operation for 8 years now, and perhaps we have accompanied approximately 500 people with different situations. Some are simply looking for new directions. Others are looking for their design. Others want to turn away from their addictions. The people who come to us are from all walks of life. Approximately 75% women and 25% men. At our center, we define success in a different way. For us, a successful person loves and knows themselves well, is in a good relationship with family, where communication and space is abound, to express one's unique self, and is a part of a wholesome and authentic community who will call them out when necessary. I remembered as I was writing this Steve Jobs testimony when he was in the ICU on his last few hours. He said his definition of life and what actually really counted in that last hour was not all his work achievements, not all his money in the bank, but he remembered the relationships that he missed out on or that he finally made good. So that's what we're all about in our center. We help people get back to good relationships with themselves, with God, and with others. How did I stumble on this direction? As a young adult, I was looking for love, jumping from one relationship to another, hoping to find the perfect husband. In many circles, this is very normal, especially during the 70s. We were the baby boomers. At 25, I found my husband, the person I married and settled down with, and started a family. I had one son in that relationship. But after 15 years, it broke down. It had its good times and bad times, just like most marriages. What I missed was someone I could truly connect with. My husband was physically violent, verbally abusive, and did not provide for me, but as opposed to providing, even stole from me. Practically every woman we met, he flirted with. And rather than giving into the relationship, he was the one who took most from the relationship. My question is, how many women have to endure this kind of treatment? How many women experience worse situations than this? How many women want to get out but do not know how to get out? At the age of 40, I exchanged my husband for a married man. That was the only way I knew how to get out. And on hindsight, I thought I was looking for something better. I lived with this married man for 7 years. And in many ways, life became messier. In my search for love, I jumped from the frying pan to the fire. That was a decision made by a desperate and needy person. That relationship lasted for 7 years. And although there didn't seem to be any violence, like the previous marriage, nor verbal abuse, the man habitually cheated on me and on his wife before me. His cheating techniques were very creative, and if you know the sordid details how he would do things, you would be absolutely horrified, so we're not going to go there. During that time, I got this awakening, and I suddenly felt that I needed to do something about my life, and that I needed to start to work with and find out about women with the same situation I was going through. But that didn't happen overnight. In fact, that was still a long journey. Before I knew it, I was walking down the aisle with the next man. He was a widower with 3 children, and the marriage just lasted for 1 year. Again, he was violent, verbally abusive, and came into the relationship with an agenda. At this time, I had already received some healing for my broken heart and had learned how to put boundaries. Because of my boundaries during the abuse, the man decided that he wasn't going to go get what he wanted and decided to leave. It's now been 11 years that we haven't been together, and I've realized how important boundaries are. And if that's the only thing you will take home from this conversation or from this talk I'm giving, it's just that to remember about having boundaries in relationships. At this stage, I realized it was I who had the problem and began to work on myself. I underwent 2 years of psychotherapy and covered myself with safe people who loved me and accompanied me through the hard times. Slowly, I began to stand up. I realized that I could do life well without having to take care of someone else or having someone else to take care of me. I realized that there are many people out there who are experiencing exactly the same struggle I was experiencing. When I made the decision to quit my lifestyle and help others, I found out that there were many more there that I had never imagined. So I began the task of training and educating myself, and then knew that had to go out there to train and educate others. Here are some statistics that I found out after I made the decision that I needed to help others. It's estimated that 35% of women worldwide have experienced either physical and/or sexual abuse from their intimate partners. And that's statistics given by the UN. I have a slide about what's going on in the Philippines. So in the Philippines, the figures are about the same. And in 2004, there has been legislation made again for violence against women and children. Have you heard about that? VOW. Okay. There have a lot of legislation, and let me just check here. This is Republic Act 9262, and it's to protect women and children from violence. So when I decided to put up the center, accompany women and men from the different addictions and things like that, I realized that the problem was really much bigger than I ever imagined. So in the Philippines, the next slide, legislation was made to protect women and children. The state recognizes the need to address violence against women and children and the protection of human rights. The violence would include physical, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse. It's like eight pages of the details of what women in this country is experiencing. From the statistics of 2004 to 2018, recently, it's about 20%. That's the recorded, 20%. But who knows what's not recorded? So those are the Philippines statistics on abuse on women. So as a result of the VOW, Republic Act 9262, it is now a crime to be abusive towards women and children. And it can result in imprisonment. Those who are abused can be provided protection orders and ejecting and restraining orders as well to the offender. So what does that ejection mean? That means the abuser can be asked to leave the place where the children and the caregiver is staying. And granting permanent custody, we have provisions for granting permanent custody and directing the offender to pay damages. So we've made progress, our Philippine government has made progress with this and has, especially in the poorer areas where there's a lot of abuse. But at the same time, there's a lot of abuse that goes on even where a lot of women are very educated. This is the sad thing, that even educated women are being abused. That's the slide right there. So let me tell you how hard it is to get out of when you're in a wrong relationship. I'll give you a story. I'll give you first a story of somebody who never got out. And then after that, I'll give you a story, and I have a slide there. It's a video of somebody else who got out with the help of On the Third Day, our ministry. So first, let me talk about Mrs. Maria. Okay. She wasn't able to overcome her abusive marriage. She came to us, and we helped her, and we helped her, and we helped her. But in the end, it was her decision. It would have had to be her decision to leave. Mrs. Maria is aged 67. She has been stuck in her marriage for 43 years. She was a chemistry teacher from her age in her 30s to her 50s, a very intelligent person. She has attempted for more than 15 years to get out of her marriage, especially when the children were already in college, because that's what she kept on saying. I have to wait for the children to grow up. I have to wait for the children to grow up. So when the children were in college, so I said, so when are you going to go? And she said, I have to wait until the children have jobs. And now the children have jobs, they're married, and she's still in the marriage. So just to illustrate the scene of abuse, her husband verbally and emotionally abused her in a public place, shouting abuses for 3 hours while at a restaurant for lunch. She couldn't flee. She froze and just listened. Okay, that's just an indication of what the relationship is like. A little bit of background about Mrs. Maria. She was the favorite of her father, but her parents did not have good relationship while she was growing up. Her father had multiple affairs, and her mother tolerated it. He would bring Mrs. Maria between ages 5 to 10, who was at that time 5 to 10 years old, as a child with him while he dated his other women. She felt wanted by her father, but could not understand who these other women were. She today finds it very difficult to determine between what's right from wrong, because her father was her idol. As far as she was concerned, he loved her a lot, with quotation marks. Today, she's totally stuck. I'm going to show you another example of a slide of another person that we've journeyed with, who's been successful in her journey.
Hi, I'm Jackie Perite.
I need volume, please.
I do intervention to children with dyslexia. In 2018, I had pulmoembolism. Because of that, I nearly died. I was 80-20. 20% chances of survival. After that, I realized the value of life, the value of my life, and the value of others' life. I was then invited for a 2-day retreat about transitions of life sometime in September 2018. And outrightly, I jumped at the opportunity to get back on track. Again, I was invited for a 1-year psychospiritual course called Discover by On the Third Day. Through the lectures, group therapy, life coaching, it helped me integrate to the person I was afraid to look back or even examine years back. The group therapy was a safe place to discover about myself and others who are journeying the same path as I did. The monthly life coaching helped me to stay on track as we continuously fine tune the personhood. I know myself better. I am stronger, knowing my decisions are on track. I am more loving, but to a bigger scope, not focusing myself to one person only. I learned my boundaries and the boundaries of other people. I worked on my boundaries and respecting the boundaries of others as well. Before discovery at On the Third Day, I would give my time, effort, etc. just to anybody or any cause. Because of that, I would demand the same thing, thinking they owed me something. On the Third Day has helped me integrate to my authentic self, to be on healthy boundaries towards myself, my relationship, towards my family, and even at work.
Right. So that was Jack. I don't know if you got it because the volume was, we were having difficulty with the volume. Who was actually struggling with codependency in her relationships with, again, with the opposite sex, similar to what I just shared. But as you heard, hopefully you heard that she's now free of that, and she's now comfortable under her own skin, not having to save others or not having to be saved by others. So thank God for all these agencies who are working with us. We're many of us who are working together to help to help women who are abused, or who also, if you will remember that, Me Too, remember that? There was a campaign of Me Too. So there's so many out there who are actually being harassed, who are actually, not able to really say no, who are struggling. So we are a center where if you're one of those Me Too's, you can come to us and we can help you. So let's hope to all of us continue to work and help one another towards protection of women and children. Thank you very much.